Now moving on to the last panel discussion, so last but not least, I introduce George Karkampasis. He's the Director of Public Affairs and Communications. I hope I pronounced his surname correctly. He works at European Aluminium, and his expertise is on sustainability and also circular economy. So he'll be leading this panel discussion. Welcome.
Well, the Director for Public Affairs was my colleague in the morning, but it's okay, we're all in public affairs, thank you. All our speakers and panelists are here today in person, so this makes things a lot easier. So if you could come into the stage and I will introduce you one by one. I don't think I need to say lots about the SALEMA project because this has been elaborated quite a bit throughout the day. Two things that stood out to me when I was reading the reports and I was following the project throughout its duration is one, the significant progress that has been achieved in exploring more the use of recycled materials for components that traditionally required or they were more reliant on primary aluminium. And second, the exploration of better sorting for aluminium, which helps a lot more with improving the quality of recycling. So we're moving more into this idea of high quality recycling. So the panel today will be on leveraging innovation policies, specifically how we can have a tangible market impact, what we have learned through the SALEMA project, and other projects similar to that in the EU policy space. And second, how collaboration helps, how collaboration can achieve acceptance and success of these projects when it comes to real market application. So I will start. Together with us today, we have a mixture of industry and EU policy. To my left, I can start with Garbiñe, Guiu, Etxeberria. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Very good.
She's representing the European Commission, specifically TG Research and Innovation. Together we also have Ángels. Ángels Orduña is the Executive Director of A.SPIRE. A.SPIRE represents innovative process industries in Europe and is committed to managing and implementing the processes for planet partnerships together with the Commission. Also, we have with us my dear colleague, Leroy. He's the Director for Innovation at European Aluminium. And with us today, we also have Claudio from Endurance Overseas, a company very active in the mobility market. And he was also an active participant throughout the duration of the SALEMA project. So he can give us his ideas and insights are very much welcomed also. How this section will be structured, I will just make an initial question towards the participants. And once this first round of questions is concluded, then I will open the floor to you, so you can ask any questions and we can start debating and rolling the conversation. So, thank you. I can start with the representative of the European Commission. Thank you. Not too long ago, in January 2023, there was a very interesting report by the European Commission titled Scaling Up Innovative Technologies for Climate Neutrality, where it assessed and identified 108 installations across the EU that they were funding by Horizon funds, amounting to something around 794 million euro. So we're facing today the daunting task of being climate neutral by 2050. We have climate targets with deadlines in 2030, 2040. Where do you think that, what steps EU research and innovation, the policy area and the space can take to enable this acceleration, specifically for the energy-intensive industries, to help them decarbonize as fast as possible?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, I mean, as Yorgos was saying, I'm Garbiñe Guiu, and I'm representing here European Commission, but I'm coming from DG Research and Innovation. So, they are on the unit that is dealing with industrial transition. So basically we are saying what we can do at the level of research and innovation to make these industries move towards the digital and the green transition. I think this is important to set up also because when you're talking with some of the Commission, when you are working in one specific folder and maybe you don't have the whole vision and it's very difficult and stepping in huge shoes just to talk for the Commission. I guess this is from the Ursula, but maybe not so much for me. But okay, I can bring you of what we are doing somehow. I have to say maybe first as a start, the SALEMA project was a discovery for me. I didn't know this project was not necessarily in our list of projects, but I enjoy it very much because somehow, as you were saying, the demonstrators, what we are looking, we are following different areas. We are following the part which is energy-intensive industries, and then how they can become circular, how they can become climate neutral, and then here clearly on the SALEMA project, this is something you are looking into. You are looking into circularity, but circularity will also have a clear impact then on the reduction of the CO2. This is one thing. But then within the same team, we are also looking at advanced materials. And in advanced materials, you have now very recently a communication that came. And again, when I was looking at your presentations, the papers you have there, etc., you are also talking about new alloys. So you are also in the part of the advanced materials. And the last focus we are looking at is at manufacturing. And the car industry is one of the main ones. So I was discussing yesterday with colleagues and saying, wow, we have a very nice example here of a history line of how we can put together energy-intensive industries, advanced materials, and then also manufacturing industry. So then just to say, okay, on the background of the project. On the question you were putting, Jorgos, I think what is I'm going to take a step back because if I remember right, you were calling this session from the Horizon project to market deployment. And I wonder whether this is the right title. Is from Horizon project to market deployment or from research and innovation projects to market deployment? Because at the end of the day, I think we are all facing the same issues, whether these are projects that are financed by the EU or by national or regional. How do you get into the market deployment at the end of the day? And it's something that I like to put in people's minds. If you see how much the European Commission is financing research and innovation, in certain areas, we are between 4 and 8%, no more, of the public financing for research and innovation, 4 and 8. So I think we also need to put this into context. So that's why it's very important, I think, that whatever we do is not only for the EU projects, but for the research and innovation in Europe in general. Then for from the demonstrators or from the projects to the market, the Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020 part where this SALEMA project was financed, we are looking there at innovative technologies, innovative processes, and typically the TRLs, technology readiness levels between 4 and 7. This is our mandate. This is what we do, and this is what we are going to continue doing for the rest of Horizon Europe. It's very important to go to market deployment, to go to first of a kind, and then the market deployment at the end of the day. But for doing that, you really need very deep pockets that we don't have. So having said that, clearly we are not going to be able to finance research from the research innovation to the market deployment. So we are not going to be able to finance the first of a kinds and the market deployment. But what we can do, what we do, and we will continue doing, is accompanying this process at the end of the day. What we can do so that these demonstrators reach the market. And I was this morning because this is my day of wonderful venues. This morning I was on Research and Innovation Days that was in Tour Taxi. It was wonderful. And then I arrived here and said, wow, this is really my lucky day. And I was in a meeting where we have a minister from Austria that it was talking about deployment of energy-intensive industries. And what she was saying, that it was so right, and I really need to copy her. It says, no magic stick. it's not something that you say, okay, I will do this and I will solve all the problems and all my demonstrators, all my research will get into the market. I mean, forget it, this is not going to happen. So it's complicated. It's a pastry of many different things that we could do to get into the market deployment. We really need to move all the different stones. So what I wanted to do now, finally, is answer your question of what we could be doing. But if you see ideas, and sometimes it looks disordered, because it's not something kind of a streamline. You really need to look at all the possibilities and go for it. So the first thing we do, and we will continue doing, is working with industry, and I have Ángels here. And basically what we are working is with partnerships with the industry, and what is important for the SALEMA project. I mean, you have the partnership we have with energy-intensive industries, Processes for Planet, then we have Made in Europe, that is with manufacturing, and now we are going to have a new partnership on advanced materials. So somehow working with industry, we have a dialogue with industry, and then we are sure that the topics we are putting in our work programs and the projects are the ones that industry needs to move forward. Then within some of the partnership with industry, we have some specific tasks and specific endeavors we take together. For example, on the Processes for Planet, we have the impact panel, but Ángels, I understood you were talking about the impact panel, so I leave this to you. And this is the discussion we have, let's say, with the established industries. But you also have all the startups. I mean, we have seen things about the startups here. These new ideas are not necessarily always on the mainstream of our discussions with industry. This is why you have also the European Innovation Council. So these are things that we are doing with the industry to move forward towards the market. Then what is super important is the dialogue you need to have at the public level. And at the public level, it could be within the Commission, but it can be also with the member states. Just think about the carbonization of energy-intensive industries. Go to Spain, go to Portugal, go to Germany, to any country. How many ministries are involved in that in order to get things to the market? You have the one for research that hopefully they finance the demonstrator. But then you have the industry, ministry, agency, whatever. You have the energy ones. If you go to the Commission, we have RTD, we have GRC, we have GROW, we have CLIMA, we have ENER. So one of the first things that we are putting in place, this is relatively recent, but it's what we call whole governance approach. The carbonization of energy-intensive industries, all the colleagues around the Commission that are working on it, we have a task force and we are meeting every month to pass ourselves the news. And this is something we are trying to do also with the member states. Have this dialogue with them. Some countries, they have moved to this kind of whole governance approach, how the others can do so that one hand doesn't know what the other is doing. And this is also very important. Many other things, we are looking to bankability of projects. If you go to the banks and you are coming with a project which is a little bit risky, they are not very much into it. What we could do at the level of research and innovation so that we are putting part of the money, the extra they need in order to take these risks. But I can tell you conversations with the banks are not the easiest ones you can have. Permitting is another big stuff, and now hopefully with the Net Zero Industry Act and the fact that energy-intensive industries are part of it, and permitting is going to be a big thing. Hopefully this will also help. And I will continue, I mean, it could go on and on and on. You have the part which is targeted public procurement, for example, or procurement actions. Again, very, very important. What can we do? Because you can finance as much as you want and put things into the market. Hang on, but if you don't have a market, if nobody is willing to pay more because you are more expensive, and at the end of the day, maybe your added value is that you are climate neutral, maybe the public procurers should start playing a role there. Skills, positive narrative. So again, as I was saying at the beginning, if you hear all this, is many things that could be done and many things that we are pursuing with particular actors. And they are all needed. And if any of you have, what I was saying before, this magic stick that you know, okay, if you do that, all the problems are going to be solved, I think we are all also very much willing to hear.
Very complex puzzle indeed. I'll come back to a couple of points a bit later on. If I may pass on the floor to Ángels. Within your expertise, you have a deep knowledge of the innovative process industries in Europe. You represent them. Can you elaborate a bit more on what is important and what is significant about industry collaboration, both within the same sector but across different sectors? And how impact panels, such as the one that we are today, can actually help take the next step, can help to accelerate the impacts of such projects and gain more acceptance to crowd in more investments?
Thank you for the question. So, as you say, I represent the process industries, and I represent specifically 10 sectors of the process industries in Europe. So they all share common challenges, which are defined in the Strategic Research and Innovation agenda of the Partnership Processes for Planet. So namely, drastic reduction of emissions, that's one of the challenges, reaching true circularity solutions or delivering true circularity solutions, and do all these innovations within global competitiveness parameters. So, and I would say this is not a minor challenge. In fact, I think what the twin transition of Europe is pursuing is a change of paradigm at several levels. And this is only feasible through this cross-sectorial collaboration that allows the sectors to understand and to learn from each other, not only across the process industry sectors, but also with the value chains of the process industry sectors. I would say one of the issues that, for example, the SMEs tell us, the SMEs in A.SPIRE, is that the importance of being able to develop with their customers the solutions that their customers need, the innovations that their customers need, so that they can later be implementing them with them. So that's very important. But then each sector certainly has a specific challenges, and then each sector tackles these challenges on their own through associations like European Aluminium or other industrial associations at European level. No? For example, in the case of aluminium, this is a strategic or a critical raw material for the green transition in Europe. I took a couple of data. It's always challenging, especially since I am talking in front of the sector. In case any of the data was wrong, please know that I took it from somewhere. So the demand of aluminium is increasing in Europe, meaning that there will be 5 million tons additional demand of aluminium per year by 2040. That's what is expected. But Paul Boss, the CEO here in European Aluminium, says that the EU 2017 lost 50% of its primary aluminium production last year. So we need more, but we are losing production. And this is a problem for Europe. This is not a problem only for the European the aluminium sector. This is a problem for European society. So the production and the recycling of aluminium is fundamental. Certainly some of these challenges, they can be supported through the calls of P4 Planet or be discussed within A.SPIRE or included in the working groups of A.SPIRE, but part of it is discussed in your own innovation groups. But then let me move to the impact panel. The impact panel is one of the structures of the Partnership Processes for Planet, in which both the European Commission and A.SPIRE, so the public and the private party, are discussing and analyzing what are the innovations of the projects, what are the barriers that they are finding, not only at, I would say, both at economical level, but also at non-economical level. So some of the barriers certainly are how to scale up, where to find the right funding or the right financial support to be able to scale up to tier 9, to be able to have these first-of-a-kind plants, for example, that are needed in Europe, or to change the way the existing plants are working. But some of the barriers are not economical. They are, for example, related to permitting, related to regulation across European regions, which is very different. For example, in circularity, even within the same country, sometimes the waste from one region cannot be transported into the other region, so it cannot be upcycled and reintroduced in the industrial system, which is part of the change of paradigm that we are proposing to have in Europe. So, and that's an example, right? So what we work together is to identify which are these barriers, which are these issues, and then to find together these solutions, like the demonstrators exercise, in which both the Commission, the Joint Research Center, and also A.SPIRE people are working, A.SPIRE members, but also to pass the message to the right decision makers, right? Because sometimes we make the mistake to think that either the public, the private sector, or DGRTD can do everything, but we cannot. Well, sometimes we need to say, hey guys, these are our conclusions, and now you, who are the decision makers at the Parliament, at the Council, or at DG Klima, at DG Energy, DG Environment, whichever, then you can bear it in mind. Yeah. So that is what we do in the impact panel. We bring cases, sometimes from the projects, from ASPIRE Process for Planet projects, but also some innovations from our energy-intensive industries, which are relevant and which are also finding some barriers, and we can have some ways to move forward. The demonstrators exercise is part of it, but for example, right now in Cluster 4, there are 5 CSA supported to support the innovations from the projects into the Innovation Fund. I think our impact panel has greatly contributed for the Commission to start thinking about this tool, for example, right? So this is a great two great tangible results of the impact panel, I would say. We don't claim that we can solve all, huh? Yes. but at least we are helping to advance, and that's very important.
Thank you very much. Solving everything, that's the next panel. Takes place a bit later on. Picking up on the idea that you mentioned about also sectors having to go beyond, I would like to turn the attention to my colleague Christian. In the same report that I mentioned before from the Commission on scaling up innovative technologies for climate neutrality, we have seen that there are 13 projects specifically for aluminium, but when we look at steel, there are over 50, chemicals that are around 50, cement, I think there are around 30. So can you give us a bit more information on what the sector itself is doing? What are the strategies in place to take the next step forward from the industry perspective also?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you, George. Yeah, I think obviously we are quite, our core activities is related to collaboration, and I think it's why we are so involved in processes for planet, because definitely we need to collaborate if we want to tackle these green transition challenges we are facing. So we are, for example, involved in some projects more upstream in the value chain, addressing the hotspot bauxite residue, where let's say cross-fertilization with the construction sector, the cement industry, for example, is key. So we are really working closely with the cement industry to find solutions for bauxite residue. And it's clear that we are not speaking the same language initially. No, we start to speak the same language. We look at standards, we look at legislation, and we enter the two worlds, and we make great progresses, and we try and we remove these technological barriers, the innovation barriers. So this is typically where we act. This project today about SALEMA is also about that. We highlight it's feasible, it's technologically feasible, and we look also to some extent at the economic dimension, but is often the barrier is there. It's about the competitiveness, which is very challenging in general. So this is, we look also at hydrogen, for example, now looking at how it can be used and substitute natural gas, and looking at all the safety aspects, all the, let's say, technological challenges in terms of burning hydrogen instead of natural gas in our furnaces, heating systems, so that it will change also to some extent the thermodynamics, the kinetics of the furnace. So we are active there, but obviously we can reach some tier level 6, 7 and address these technological barriers now. Obviously, the next step is the most challenging, and there, like Garbiñe mentioned, what it enters to some extent the company area and where collaboration, because it's really quite competitive area. It's clear that there is a limited amount of budget available for this, but what we try to, and what we do with members, okay, we are to some extent, let's say, successful for hydrogen for this Horizon Europe, also Horizon 2020 to some extent, knowing that there are limited resources there as well, but I think we are involved in several projects. No, we are not so successful up to now in terms of innovation fund projects, so there are 2 small-scale projects, let's say, which are in place, but this is probably not sufficient for the sector. So it's clear that we try to accompany all members into this journey, organize, let's say, some webinars to explain, but obviously it's part of their decision. And obviously we need to make better conditions in Europe, and let's say in terms of investment, in terms of energy cost is always the same. So it's a kind of a preconditions to see Europe as, let's say, the regions to invest and not going to Asia or to US. So we are a global commodity, so it's clear that there is a big challenges there. So, but as Innovation Hub, as European Aluminium, it's our duty to make sure that with members we can bring them and secure that at the end they are really demonstrators also developed in Europe, and we do our best to move forward, and we keep, let's say, the energy to do that. But yeah, this is all I can say, and we will continue also with other colleagues, because we bring other colleagues, sustainability, energy, and so on. So because it's a, let's say, let's say, facet issue. So it's not only innovation, but this is also all the ecosystem that we will need to bring there. So this is, yeah.
Thank you very much. So far, all our panelists have mentioned collaboration as a key aspect. Yes. So, Claudio.
Yes.
Being in the SALEMA project from the beginning, can you please provide us with some insights, how the exploitation results and the strategies, what we can do to actually apply it in the market at large, how the results of the project today are shaped and aligned by market needs also?
Yep. So first of all, thank you for inviting me this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here and also listen that as a company, we are an aluminum foundry, and we are competing every day to get new business, and we are fighting with the foreign countries sometimes to keep our production in Europe, and it's not, let's say, something that makes sense to me, but I'm going to tell you, it's good to know that there are competition also among different countries to support the industry, and it's not an easy game. Our games was a challenging one, but the one that you have to manage is more challenging because so many elements are around, and the other competitors, as we know from the US or from China, are very aggressive in supporting industry with the media or terms or policy that sometimes are clashing with our way of playing these games in a democratic way. This I can say. So we are not in an easy arena. You are not, we are not. We are all together in collaboration with this organization as well. With that said, SALEMA, of course, has been, I believe, from my point of view, being involved in this company, as I was a technical director and I am innovation manager, the first Horizon project that we have been involved to. I was having experience with previous companies, so was my positive message message to apply and be partnering with this, because I believe it's a tool that was bringing together the complete added value, the value chain, specifically in our project, where this is important to have. What we were missing is, in some cases, the final user of the element, meaning that they are involved, they can give us input, of course, but they are at the engineering stage or at the industrial first element stage of their value chain. It means that we were discussing yesterday, the conclusion of our, let's say, briefing for the final event of our project, that one of the key elements that will move these good results that we have achieved so far in a different field from the foundry that I represent and also the colleague in sheet stamping and extrusion, will become, let's say, a market sellable product if our customers are willing to pay some delta prices on top of that, because nothing comes for free, otherwise should be already there. And for the market today, for our customer, the question yesterday raised in the team, please ask to the Stellantis people, to the Volvo, we were before having a good presentation from our colleague there, are they willing, if this is the case, because will be most likely, to pay a delta euro per kilograms of the material that we have developed so far? Because some of the good ethics approach or the things that we wanted to support, the CO2, carbon footprint and everything related to that, of course, can bring some added cost to our value chain. We are trying to, of course, develop innovative idea like Europe has been already always on the lead to have innovation, but then at the industrial level stage, sometimes those innovations are an added cost to what we do nowadays. And so the question is not having on board, directly involved, the buyer of the parts. The engineers are welcome, but we need buyers of companies with us that follow the evolution and they decide with us if this is a way, despite all what we have achieved from a, let's say, low carbon footprint point of view or energy consumption, also cost reduction and so forth, is something that is then willing to order some tonnage of this material from the companies that are developing this technology. But the tool of Horizon, for me, putting the complete value chain in together, just missing the buyer. The OEM we have, but are our colleague from engineering. So they are always pleased to see wonderful new results and innovation in place. Different game is when you have to sell your product, you know? And this sometimes is not easy, but I think it could be some way, somehow, a message that I want to release. Otherwise, the structure is wonderful working, and we are also, from a bureaucratic point of view, I'm at this point, very easy, friendly. I'm always saying, sad to say, when I go back to Italy, which is my country, I would rather prefer to apply to Horizon or to the IPCI project we are involved in as well, versus the national project of founding, because of bureaucracy. Not for other reason at all. So please continue to simplify if you can, also this kind. Something is happening. I received just recently an email where also the labor cost will be calculated in an easier way for the personnel involved in the Horizon. Please continue to do so, because otherwise industry will maybe think not to apply because it's too complicated, just to make an easy message at the end.
Thank you. Next time we might have a panel with a procurement specialist from the company.
Please do so. Yes.
That's a good idea. At this stage, I would like to open the floor to the participants if you have any questions. If you do, please also introduce yourselves.
Maybe I can make a remark. It's just to comment what you said. I think indeed this delta euro is obviously a key, but obviously we can anticipate maybe some policies, some evolutions of the market, so that delta euro could be maybe an equal in few years, and that you are prepared to, let's say, but I agree that on a short-term basis, maybe this is frustrating because you have some additional costs, some new technologies, some further processing. But maybe in 5 years' time, then you would anticipate and you would be ready for and more sustainable and more, let's say, profitable at that time. But I agree that probably on a short-term basis could be quite frustrating.
Yep.
But this is how I see this type of project, is to anticipate probably and to be prepared as well for the future, hopefully, let's say.
And you are totally right. One of the plus at the end of the SALEMA, just on top of this comment, has been that as a company like the other partners, we will reduce our time to market once there will be a boost to use this solution. We will have gained time and we are ready to apply it as soon as this will be possible or will be requested by the customer. Of course, this is absolutely true. Yeah.
I think, I mean, this is one of the discussions we were having, because we always say, okay, how you can finance high arterial levels, but if you don't have a market, at the end of the day, you have the technologies not there.
Yep.
And one of the ideas was, I mean, how to move with procurement, because it can be a way of getting a market and then start the ball running. What is easier for us is play with public procurement, but I mean, how do you see public procurement with aluminium? Maybe that's...
Interesting. I don't see any hands. Maybe I will react to one of the points that you mentioned, Garbiñe. You mentioned bankability. This is something that we hear often. And it makes me wonder, are we playing it too safe in Europe? Are we falling behind some other regions that are a bit more willing to take a more risky approach? Namely the US, for example. They have a different approach when it comes to funding. They don't seem to be as reluctant as we are at some stages about bankability here in Europe. So does this hamper us, or are we learning from their mistakes?
No, I mean, when I say bankability, it's not bankability of research projects. We are not looking into that one, but it's okay when then you are moving to the first of a kind, etc. is when the main issues comes. And I really cannot answer your question, Yorgos, because I mean, the only bank we are approaching is the European Investment Bank. They look to me like really very, very, very conservative, but I don't know how. I mean, in the US, where they are. In the US, they are working kind of differently. You have more, investments that are kind of private investment, blue angels, this kind of thing, and this is a different dynamics than what we have in Europe. That's a certainty. Yeah.
Indeed. Would you like Claudio to react, because you did also mention the competition between countries to fund?
Well, yes, of course. In this specifically, I can move away from the SALEMA topics. There is another one that we are involved with passion and with the willingness of having European batteries for those electric vehicles, let's say. And so we have been pleased to participate to this IPCI batteries project. On the first one and the second, also we developed some solution with aluminum, of course, which is our core business for the mobility in Europe. And if you wish, in that case, specifically competition against other countries are stronger than aluminum, with all respect. Because in aluminum, we can still defend our own manufacturing plant and capabilities to supply European car makers. Logistics is helping us. All these things are bringing them to select European foundry or profile producer or stamp sheet metal versus other supply that are coming from far away. In the specific on batteries, this is not the case, because unfortunately we are at the moment trying to recover 10 years behind some experience already done, but somebody in China especially who decided to invest in this field with a focus concentrated to also consider Europe like a potential market for them, because this was clear from day one in which they started to invest in this field. And so in this kind of situation, I don't have any solution, but more talking with the people that are with us working in this field, mining, developing cells, system, recycling of these materials, and we are trying to, build up this supply chain, European one. The more I see that the need at the end of the day should be to have something that we are talking about passport for batteries. Passport is important, but most important should be some mechanism in which a premium will be given to automakers that are using made in Europe batteries. Because if this is not the case, always there is not just €1 per kilograms. There are $1,000 for a battery system, and there is a big difference between what the Chinese are able to offer, and there is a second risk in that field. that they would like to prefer to have their own car sold in Europe with their own batteries. And this could affect, we see, some of the big car makers and our customer as well, to struggling in understanding how to compete in this field, unless they partner with some supplier that are coming from China or for whenever they are offering their material. So in that case specific, even if we are building a good, very strong partnership and cooperation with small, medium enterprise, I can tell to you, my direct experience there, working in Italy, in Germany and France, we see that the topics of batteries brings the company to work more together. They are open, especially the bright, young, new, small, medium enterprise are willing to come on board and have more activities that we define, we discover things, we cooperate, and so it's very positive field in this kind of business. Nevertheless, we are making we are a small gamer player in this field because the big games of the huge volume are in on another level. So there the partnership, collaboration is always welcome, is possible, and we are in any case in difficulties to make this collaboration to become a real success on the market so far. This is another situation, more challenging than aluminum, if I can say.
You know, because I was thinking, I mean, linked to this is the Net Zero Industry Act and how let's hope that this is also bringing, because batteries is one of the things that is there. And the idea is really to have a huge part of the market for batteries that is covered by batteries that are made in Europe. So, of course, for the moment, it's just sketchy. It's a willingness, I think, all the European countries has agreed to move forward. And hopefully, well, it's going to have an impact on procurement. It should have an impact also on permitting, but I think where everybody hopes the biggest impact is also channeling the nationals and how finance some projects into this one. So let's hope that it's a step on the right direction.
Yes, exactly.
We need to see a little bit how this develops.
And this, you touched a good point, meaning that we are different countries. We are all together, but we are different countries. So to combine all the effort in one channel is more complicated in Europe versus China. Let's make it like this. It's more complicated.
We are still a democracy, I
yes,
think. And
yes,
I think it's
yes.
worth
So,
Ángels, please.
Yes, I think certainly there are differences across sectors in the relevance or in the conditions or the situation they are living, right? Especially regarding competitiveness. But it's very clear that the market conditions are not at the same level in all the countries. And I think in general, Europe should do much more to incentivize the market uptake of products that are fruit of innovations and that they are then more expensive and that they are competing with innovations from other countries, with products from other countries, which play in completely different levels, and frankly, without respecting international legality. So I think sometimes what we call democracy, no, let's not blame democracy for that. We need to be more clever than that and say, hey, if you are cheating, I'm banning your products, for example. I'm protecting our products so that why should we support the selling of products in Europe that are produced in labor conditions that are not the correct ones? So, for example, right? So I think we need to stop blaming it on democracy. We need to move forward and say, what are the solutions? How should we incentivize our products? How should we maybe prevent the selling of other products here? To a certain extent.
Yeah, on this, it's sad for me to
Sorry,
say,
not
but
to be
you are right.
politically correct, but
Sad to say, but you are right. I'm joking with my colleague in Italy. Nobody will buy an Italian batteries just because it's written made in Italy. It's not fashion, it's not food. Nobody will buy because it's made in Italy. They will buy because it's performance and cheaper. That's it. So we have to promote maybe this made in Europe somehow. This is not an easy game, but made in Europe should be one way of putting in practice what you are suggesting to happen.
Made in Europe with jobs in Europe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe if there's any questions, I see first the gentleman, then the other gentleman.
My name is Francesco Di Maio. Actually, I would like to come back to the delta, Mr. Claudio.
Yes.
You mentioned the delta that should be paid by customer to. But if I don't understand why this delta, where this come from, if the technology works okay and it uses less energy, less CO2, why it costs more and then should be subsidized somehow?
Yeah.
Because I feel that until it won't be possible to be competitive on the market, it will never be disseminated in a proper way.
Yeah, but let's give a practical example of our SALEMA effort and project. We are adding a wonderful technology to pick up and select materials. In normal processes, this is not needed. And you don't have the possibility to recycle material like we are doing this. Who is going to pay this investment? The company is involved or the final customer?
But the company need to make the alloys. These alloys has some cost. If the technology is not able to produce the alloy at a competitive cost, then it means that there is something wrong.
Here you go. There is nothing wrong. There is the fact that the alloy that they are using now, our customer, are no alloy produced or in the primary version or with technique that doesn't need additional technology to be there. The problem is that if you compare all these things and you come to the price for kilos of alloy produced in one way or the other, like I'm saying, none of our buyers or procurement on the other eye will pay 1 cent more just because it's CO2 friendly. So this is what is happening. In day by day, when you change something, like in industry we are doing, and adding operation, not always you find efficiency or better results than before, not always. So if this happens, we are all glad. You offer a new product, you offer something that is cost competitive. And of course the market will boost. But if this is not the case, and there is very often with smart team working since centuries now around how to handle materials, how to improve efficiency, solutions that are available are already well proven, and the cost efficiency of those solutions is there. When you introduce some changes, there will be for sure some delta. And if this is positive, meaning that costs more, you have to understand who is going to pay such a difference. If you change something, nothing comes for free. Otherwise, should be already there.
But I mean, the company are using. They need to buy those alloys. Somebody is selling those alloys.
They can buy the primary alloy unless they have a limit to the CO2 imposed. Some we listen, we learn today. They are in progress to meet the carbon, let's say,
targets.
Yes, evolution. But each of them on a single day, today, they are buying maybe 50,000 of product in aluminum while we speak. Do you believe that they are willing to pay something more now on this procurement on component just because it's a green aluminum? I tell you no, right away. Unfortunately, that's it. And so this will be a challenge that we have to develop something that is also cost competitive. If you succeed in cost, of course, there will be a market boosting tomorrow morning. If this is not the case and there is a small delta plus, problem is who is going to pay such a delta plus?
Thank you for your question. And we go back to the idea that we need to have the procurement people involved from the beginning.
Yes, please.
Please, another question.
Yeah, thank you very much for the panel, Philippe Giero, Uliege. I see the question is leveraging EU innovation from Horizon project to market impact. My personal experience with Horizon project is that they stop around sort of like TRL 7 to 8. But to go to market, you got to go to TRL 10. There's a similar problem in a related industry. Again, I'm speaking from my home nation of Canada, where we have this problem with mining and exploration, and there's a way to financially leverage the public's money, which is called flow-through tax mechanism. In other words, what you allow the public to do is to invest money in a project, and this money is offset against their tax income. And it's a way to make sure that you can finance the death valley, so to speak. In the end, like the gentleman on the right was saying from Endurance, if you don't create a product that is competitive, it might not work. But at least you give yourself more chances to finance this death valley, because after TRL 7, it's a precipice. Where do they go? Anybody can answer this?
Mm-hmm. Anybody would like to react on this?
I can start. It depends on the technology, right? Since we are talking about the energy-intensive industries, the current instrument of the European Union is the Innovation Fund. Does this solve everything? Again, no. Yeah, but I must agree that the Commission has done a great effort in this current 7 years programming to align the programs and to cover this gap for this TRL 8 and 9, more or less, with the Innovation Fund. Yeah, so that's one of the tools. Then, otherwise, you need to go to the InvestEU or to the investment fund or to the European Investment Bank tools, for example, right? Does this cover all? Probably not, but it's something.
No, I said, I mean, what was said, it was also very interesting on the sense that we cannot always go back to what European Union is doing or the European Commission is doing, because as I was saying, we are 10% of the total, so it has to be more than that. And I think what was said here is, I mean, I understand, I like it. I'm sure in Europe is not working like that, because when we go for higher TRL levels, quite a lot that I'm seeing is coming through these important projects of common European interest that at the end of the day is the member states that are putting money on these big plans, and then we are seeing that they are going into the market. So somehow through these mechanisms, because also you need to respect competitiveness, so this cannot be financed at EU level, it's financed at national level, but they need to ask for permission, so we are seeing it, and we see that at national level this is moving. But what you are saying is very interesting, because it links to what you were saying before. It's always kind of state back. So we go back to the states that are putting money and we are going to higher TRL levels. But we are seeing very little private. You were talking Canada, of US, etc. We are not seeing that kind of private mechanism where you get the individuals into the game.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm talking about developing a taste for risk capital.
Yeah.
Because these things are risky, you know. Yeah. 1 in 10 will work, and 9 times out of 10 you will lose all your money. But with the one that works, you will make so much money that you'll cover all the other losses. And it's just to make sure that we can have that culture of risk capital. This is not happening, and maybe it's happening for certain people, but it's not accessible to the public, you know. I mean, I can access this as a normal citizen in Canada. Why cannot I access leverage instruments so I can risk my capital on European aluminum project or European critical material projects, you know? I don't need the help of the European Union. I just need to have an instrument that allows me to share that risk. Because there's a lot of money in bank accounts that's doing nothing. You have to mobilize that money. That's basically what I'm offering as a suggestion.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting.
I don't know if we have anybody from the banking sector. I don't
So,
You don't know.
For the sake of time, because we have 5 minutes left, I would like to thank you for your questions. And I would invite the panelists to make one final closing remark, one idea that they stood out to them. I will start with Claudio, because I know you have a taxi to catch very soon.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Well, thank you again. Pleasure to be sharing this kind of reasoning. And my outtake for the next will be to organize a panel like this with procurer, buyer, and bank.
Good luck.
Yes, so see if they come.
Thank you. Christian, please.
Yeah, okay. I think we have seen today a very nice project, and obviously it shows as well there are still a lot of work to do, especially when we look at circularity in automotive. Plenty of challenges also for the metal industry, because we tend to focus sometimes too much on others, maybe plastics, because, and then yeah, my dream would be to have a let's say a next let's say SALEMA 2.0, let's say projects addressing those elements that are still to be addressed, maybe including also some other materials, let's say metals, steel, and to work together, let's say in a collaborative manner. Yes, thank you.
Great idea, thank you. Please.
So we are in Europe, in the European bubble at least, there is a lot of discussion already about the next framework program. My feeling is that since I started in framework program, that was in FP6, now we are discussing about FP10, which will start in 2028, whichever name we give it. But I keep seeing the research and innovation actions, the innovation actions, and the CSAs as the tools. I would wish that we are more creative with the tools to support industry, because we need more flexible tools to support risky projects, not only low-risk projects. I think any research and innovation program needs to support the risky projects and accept the failure of the projects that fail and learn from those failures. So that would be something that would be very important for Europe, in my view.
Thank you. And last but not least.
Yeah, now I need to react to Ángels, not easy.
Yeah, that's my dream. Huh?
No, but I mean, blending finance is something that is in the table. But as I was saying before, for that you need deep pockets, and let's see how this moves. What I take from this meeting, I was just on the last part, so I cannot talk about the whole thing. What I take for it, you were talking, Ángels, about the European bubble, and I spend my days on the European bubble, so it's very refreshing to be talking and listening to people that is outside this bubble, so thank you for that. And basically, I just take as lessons home, taste for capital, risk, and procurement as the main highlights of the day.
So we have 1 minute left, but I think we can summarize by saying a lot of very interesting ideas, at least to me. Thank you for this. And I really hope all of these learnings from today, not just this session, but throughout, find fertile ground for the next framework program. We look forward to it. I would like to thank the panelists and the participants. Thank you very much. A round of applause.
Very good. Thank you, George.